So you saw some interesting film from a while ago about this guy, Joe Girard, and how you notice how after the purchase, very important to make the phone call to the customer. That's the equivalent of that first welcome email, right? It's the first contact with the customer, and if he found that there was a problem with anything, it was fixed immediately. He thanked them for the business, and down the road, he'd ask them for referrals. He'd send information to them almost as if he really had a database, but he was doing it all, without computers, just kind of on his own. Very interesting. So we have databases. And how do we use database-driven communications to build trust? And two websites for you to look at and think about. And I want you to actually click on these links. And these are not videos. This is just for you to click on the link for Dollar Shave Club and then for the 5-4 Club. And think about how they're handling customer relationship management. And take a minute to do that, and then when you're ready, come on back to the lecture, which will continue. So obviously, loyalty building communications, we said, is a key part of the ability to do CRM with our customer base. And if you think about Amazon, they have a multitude of transactional messages. In other words, when you buy something or when you do something with Amazon, something is automatically sent out that is personalized to you and your purchase, etc. So building the technology in your database, the communications platform to do that is obviously vitally important. And it's also important to give fast answers on requests or any kind of input. It's a good idea to do surveys of your customers and ask them things like, how do you want to be communicated with, by text, by phone call, by email. You see lots of companies you're dealing with are doing that now. Personalized trigger messages. Now that would be something like 1-800-Flowers.com, where they ask customers to input their key occasions, birthdays of their friends or relatives, for instance, or anniversaries are built into a calendar at 1-800-Flowers.com keeps, and then can send out reminders, which are personalized trigger messages, so that you can buy something and appear to be a very thoughtful person. Thanks for the business is so important. And again, Amazon has how many trigger events? And customer service, just basic customer service is key, and having that work the right way. So a very clear and fair and open return and refund policy builds loyalty. Instant chat. You'll see most companies will give you the chance to get right on, either do a phone call or do a chat with somebody right away. Now it's important for whoever's delivering the service to be able to pull up your file very quickly. They're usually going to ask you your phone number or your email address, you'll notice, and that's how they have it saved. But then they can pull up a record of your transactions. And they also are going to type notes based on the transaction that you have. So the customer service person is supposed to kind of type up what went on the phone call, so anyone else who gets involved later on can pull up the history. All those things are important and need to be at people's fingertips. A phone number that somebody answers. How do you get your reps to smile? I can think of some companies. I have an online bank now called Simple.com, which I encourage you to check out. I think it's really cool. The customer service people are great. I mean, it's always hello and how are you and how can I help you and have we satisfied you? Is this done? And they knock themselves out to solve your problems. They don't pass you on to somebody else. You need to empower the service reps to get things done. That's another important thing. power to resolve. And you also want to measure customer satisfaction. So you'll notice most companies now will ask you to take a survey and rate your service, and they'll track how a customer rep does, and they just kind of track their overall customer, how they're doing with their customers. There's the hotel concierge with a big grin there to help you. Concierge service is sort of one of the gold standards for customer service, is a good hotel concierge. And usually the MVCs are the ones who get the concierge service. Maybe they get a different type of customer rep, or they get shuttled to their special call center. I mean, there are lots of ways that a company can make sure they deliver the best top concierge service for their best customers. Loyalty is made easier, building it with emails and texts. Loyal customers are more profit. Use their names, use a universal ID. Your actions determine loyalty, so that one purchase can grow to a fruitful, large oak tree if it's cultivated and taken care of the right way, all of which is called customer relationship management. Now, how does the database, which is really just current clients, right? That's who's in your database. How can that help with prospecting? Well, first of all, I know I've said this once, and I'll say it 1,000 times before I'm done with you guys. One of the first things you need to do with the database is to analyze customer transactions and find the people who spend the most and cost the least. Who are the relationship customers versus transactional customers? What do we know about their demographics, about their hobbies and psychographics? Why do they like you so much? And one thing you do with your most valuable customers is to try to determine which trait contributes the most to their loyalty or their kind of love of you, so to speak. And here we run what's called a multivariate analysis, where the middle variable in this thing is lots of purchases or customer profitability, but there are a lot of things that contribute to it. Which are the most important? And so this is a kind of an example to get you to think about that. So if you look at this chart, table 6.1, multivariate relationship, religious attendance, gender, and age. So the dependent variable, the one that gets moved by other variables, is religious attendance, okay? And if you look at the chart, religious attendance frequency is on the left. So about weekly and less often are the two choices. The independent variables are age and sex. So there's under 40 and 40 and older, and then men and women. So which has the greater impact on how often I go to church, whether I'm a man or a woman or my age? And that is what you would run a multivariate analysis on. And actually, if you look at who go the most, it's older women, 40 and older women. But is it age or is it gender that has the biggest impact? And a multivariate analysis, again, would analyze the database to find which one had the bigger impact. And then you'd know if you had to pick between, a publication, for instance, to advertise in, you might want to go to AARP, magazine and target older if the age is the more important demographic. If women are the more important demographic, then you'd look for magazines, Vogue or, whatever it is, Cosmopolitan or Family Circle that women read. So finding out which variable is the biggest driver is definitely important. So the goal with prospecting is to find more MVCs. That's who you want to attract to your franchise. I hope you agree that makes sense. You fish where the big fish are, not where the little fish are. So advertising is the key part of the marketing plan. The whole purpose of, 95% of the purpose of advertising is to bring new customers into the database. And it's expensive. Super Bowl ads $4 or $5 million for a 30-second ad. And Super Bowl as an event has about the biggest reach of any TV event, so it's about the most expensive. 30 seconds you can buy, but the purpose of it is to get new customers. And so advertising in Inked magazine, that's obviously not quite as big an audience as the Super Bowl, but if I take an ad in there, I'm also looking for new customers, but obviously a different kind of customer profile and a different cost, but it's all the same in terms of advertising is for getting new customers. And when I get a new customer, I should be analyzing the lifetime value of that customer and then figuring out, based on that, whether the investment in whatever the media type was worth the money. Okay. Now, how to reach more MVCs. Publishers Clearinghouse, and you're going to get a presentation from Jason John, the Chief Revenue Officer for Publishers Clearinghouse, coming up pretty soon. I'll be taping him. I think it's October 3rd. We'll be videotaping him, and I'll be putting his lecture online. He's terrific. But the reason Publishers Clearinghouse gives away this money and runs these crazy ads is to get new customers and to get their email addresses. That's why they do it. So getting emails is very important. Here are some ways to get prospects and get their emails. And those are all listed there. And also for prospecting, yes, advertising, et cetera, to get MVCs. But you can actually use databases to prospect. You can use database marketing, meaning you can use emails. One way, of course, is to get the email, as we just discussed, when someone signs up, even if it's from a TV ad, as Publishers Clearinghouse does, because you can't enter the contest unless you give your email. The other thing to do is to rent lists from people. So you rent other people's databases. You merge purge, you get rid of any overlap in customers, and you rent, and you pay for only those that are new customers to you, and you get to test the list. And these are types of lists that are available, and a cost per thousand for the lists. People who buy books and CDs, people who do magazine subscriptions, donors, newsletter people, different types of people. And there are companies that broker lists for you to rent. And if you click on the link here, you'll see a magazine subscriber mailing list shown you on that website. You can take a minute to do that and then continue the lecture. So the whole direct marketing cycle is prospecting and loyalty building. And we've talked about this before, but this is the cycle. Take a minute to look at it, please. And you can stop the lecture to do that, and then we're going to go on. And again, the circle of life, the circle of direct marketing is getting purchase data, segmenting your customers as they go into your database into different opportunity groups, developing different communications to each opportunity group, and running media against each group, testing different options, refining, doing it again, doing it again, doing it again. So we today have talked about using databases for loyalty building, and we also talked about using databases for prospecting. And that is a pretty quick lecture. And I'm going to talk about your next week assignment and kind of wrap that up as a separate little piece I'll tag at the end.